Stop waiting. Stop hoping. Stop pretending that someday you'll be ready. The money you want, the wealth you crave, the financial freedom you dream about, it's not coming by accident. It's not coming from luck. It's coming from one decision. The decision you make right now, in this very moment, while you're listening to these words. Tonight, you reprogram your mind. Tonight, you break every broke habit, every poverty thought, every excuse that kept you small. By tomorrow morning, you will think like the rich. And when you think like the rich, you become the rich. This is not motivation. This is reprogramming. Let's begin. Let's start with the truth you don't want to hear. You're not broke because of the economy. You're not broke because of your parents. You're not broke because you didn't get the right opportunities, or because life dealt you a bad hand. You're broke because you choose to be broke. Every single day. Multiple times a day. In small decisions that seem harmless but compound into a lifetime of financial mediocrity. That's the truth. And if that makes you uncomfortable, good. Discomfort is the beginning of change. Listen carefully. Most people stay broke not because of their circumstances, but because they choose comfort over change every single day. They choose the familiar paycheck, the safe job, the small thinking. And they call it being responsible when it's actually fear disguised as wisdom. You wake up. You go to the same job. You complain about the same things. You make the same money. You have the same conversations. You watch the same shows. You go to bed. And you do it again tomorrow. That's a choice. You say you want to be wealthy, but you choose comfort. You choose safety. You choose the known over the unknown. And the known is keeping you broke. The rich don't choose comfort. They choose growth. They choose risk. They choose the uncertain path that leads to expansion instead of the certain path that leads to stagnation. You have a choice. Right now, in this moment, you can continue choosing what's comfortable, or you can choose what's necessary. Here's what you do instead of choosing differently. You rationalize. You justify. You explain why staying where you are is the smart thing to do. You tell yourself you're being practical, realistic, responsible. But let me tell you what responsible actually means. Responsible means taking full ownership of your financial future. Responsible means refusing to settle. Responsible means doing whatever it takes legally and ethically to create the wealth you say you want. What you're doing isn't responsible. It's safe. And safe is expensive. Safe costs you your dreams. Safe costs you your potential. Safe costs you decades of your life, trading time for money in a system designed to keep you exactly where you are. You have a choice. Now let's go deeper. Every time you say, "I can't afford it," you're programming your subconscious to find reasons why money should avoid you. Think about that. Every single time those words come out of your mouth, "I can't afford it," you're training your brain. You're teaching it to shut down, to stop looking for solutions, to accept limitation as reality. The rich don't say, "I can't afford it," ever. They say, "How can I afford it?" Do you see the difference? It's not just semantics. It's programming. It's the difference between a brain that searches and a brain that surrenders. When you say, "I can't afford it," your brain stops. Conversation over. Problem unsolved. Opportunity lost. Your subconscious hears that statement and says, "Okay, we're broke. Let's find evidence to support that. Let's notice all the bills. Let's worry about money. Let's avoid opportunities that require investment. Let's stay small." But when you say, "How can I afford it?" your brain activates. It starts problem solving. It starts searching. It looks for income opportunities. It considers creative solutions. It asks better questions. It finds ways. That's the key. Questions create possibilities. Statements create limitations. The rich ask questions. The broke make statements. "I can't afford it" is a statement, a declaration, a final answer. "How can I afford it" is a question. an invitation, a search command for your subconscious mind. You need to stop declaring your poverty and start questioning your way to wealth. From this moment forward, ban the phrase, "I can't afford it," from your vocabulary completely. When you see something you want, something you need, something that could change your life, don't say you can't afford it. Ask how you can afford it. How can I make an extra $1,000 this month? How can I create value someone will pay for? How can I negotiate better? How can I launch faster? How can I sell more? How can I invest smarter? Your brain will answer if you ask the right questions, but it will shut down if you make the wrong statements. You have a choice. You can declare your limitations or question your possibilities. Choose wisely. Now here's the part that will really make you uncomfortable. Your financial thermostat is set to broke because you've practiced being broke longer than you've practiced being wealthy. You've rehearsed lack. You've rehearsed struggle. You've rehearsed worry. Every conversation about money where you complain. Every time you check your bank account with dread instead of expectation. Every time you say money doesn't grow on trees, or rich people are lucky, or I'm just not good with money. You've practiced being broke for years, maybe decades. You're an expert at being broke. You know how to think broke, talk broke, act broke, feel broke. You've got broke. You've got mastered. And your bank account reflects your expertise. Here's what you need to understand. Your financial thermostat, your comfort level with money, is set by repetition, by practice, by what you've rehearsed mentally and emotionally for years. If you spent 20 years thinking like a broke person, your thermostat is set to broke. And any time money comes into your life that exceeds that setting, you'll unconsciously sabotage it. You'll spend it, lose it, give it away, because it doesn't match your internal temperature. The rich practice wealth. They rehearse abundance. They visualize success. They speak prosperity. They expect money. They're comfortable with large numbers. They're familiar with growth. They've practiced thinking like wealthy people long before they became wealthy. That's the key. You have to practice being rich before you become rich. Starting tonight, you rehearse differently. You practice wealth. You visualize your bank account growing. You speak about money with confidence and expectation. You check your balance with curiosity, not dread. You plan for abundance, not scarcity. You practice the thoughts, words, and emotions of a wealthy person until your thermostat resets, until wealth feels normal, until broke feels foreign. This is not positive thinking. This is reconditioning. This is reprogramming your financial operating system so wealth can finally stick. You rehearse lack or you rehearse wealth. You don't get both. You get what you practice. So what are you practicing right now? What are you rehearsing in your mind every day? What story are you telling yourself about money? If it's a story of limitation, struggle, and lack, that's your future. If it's a story of possibility, growth, and abundance, that's your future. You have a choice. Stop practicing poverty. Stop rehearsing broke. Stop checking your account with fear. Stop complaining about money. Stop agreeing with other broke people about how hard life is. Start practicing wealth. Rehearse abundance. Speak prosperity. Expect growth. Visualize your wealthy future with the same detail you currently visualize your problems. Do this every night before you sleep. Do this every morning when you wake. Do this until your inner world matches the outer world you're trying to create. Your poverty is not permanent. It's practiced. And anything that's practiced can be unpracticed. Anything that's learned can be unlearned. You've been practicing the wrong thing. That stops tonight. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are a product of your choices. And every choice you make from this moment forward is either moving you toward wealth or keeping you in poverty. Choose comfort. Stay broke. Choose change. Build wealth. Choose statements. Stay limited. Choose questions. Create possibilities. Choose to rehearse lack. get lack. Choose to rehearse wealth, get wealth. You have a choice. You always had a choice, and now you know what that choice really is. So make it, right now. Decide that your poverty ends tonight. Decide that your old programming dies tonight. Decide that tomorrow you wake up as someone who asks better questions, makes better choices, and practices wealth instead of lack. That's your responsibility. That's your power. That's your choice. You've mastered being broke. Now it's time to master being rich. And it starts with understanding this. The rich don't work for money the way you've been taught. They command it, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about next. You're doing it wrong. You're trading hours for dollars. You're selling your time. You're showing up, doing tasks, collecting a paycheck, and calling it a career. That's not wealth. That's survival with a business card. The rich don't work for money. They command it. They don't beg for it. They don't hope for it. They don't wait for someone to give them permission to have it. They create systems that generate it whether they're awake or asleep. That's the difference. And until you understand this difference, you'll stay exactly where you are. Let me be clear. Poor people trade time for money and call it a career. They clock in, clock out, trade hours for dollars, exchange their life energy for a paycheck that disappears before the month ends. And they think that's how it works. They think that's what working means. Show up, do the tasks, get paid, repeat until retirement or death. But that's not how the rich operate, not even close. The rich create systems. They build machines, wealth machines, machines that generate money without their constant presence. They leverage other people's time, other people's money, other people's expertise, and they build something that runs whether they show up or not. That's the key. Systems over self, leverage over labor. You're one person. You have 24 hours. If you're trading your time for money, you've capped your income at whatever those 24 hours can produce. And most of those hours you're sleeping, eating, or doing things that don't pay you. So you're broke by design, limited by the model, trapped by the trade. The rich rejected that trade. They said, I'm not trading my time. I'm building a system and creating a structure that uses other people's time, other people's money, and generates income without me. That's leverage. And leverage is the only way to wealth. Think about it. You work 8 hours, you get paid for 8 hours. A rich person builds a system with 10 employees. Those 10 people work 8 hours each. That's 80 hours of productivity the rich person benefits from, while only investing a fraction of their own time managing the system. You're working in the business. They're working on the business. You're the labor. They're the architect. You have a choice. You can keep trading time for money, or you can start building systems that trade value for money while you sleep. Here's what you need to do. Stop thinking like an employee. Start thinking like a builder, an architect, a system creator. Ask yourself, what can I build once that pays me repeatedly? What system can I create that generates income without my constant involvement? What can I automate, delegate, or leverage? That's how the rich think. Every single day, they're not asking, how do I work harder? They're asking, how do I build smarter? You don't need to work more hours. You need to build better systems. That's the key. Now here's where everything changes. The moment you stop seeing yourself as an employee and start seeing yourself as an asset allocator, everything shifts. An employee asks, what job can I get? An asset allocator asks, what value can I create that people will pay for repeatedly? Do you see the difference? It's massive. It's the difference between dependence and independence, between limitation and expansion, between working for money and commanding it. An employee is dependent on someone else's system, someone else's decision, someone else's budget, someone else's approval. You're waiting, hoping, applying, interviewing, begging for a position in someone else's wealth machine. But an asset allocator owns the machine. They allocate resources, time, money, attention, energy toward assets that generate returns. They ask, where can I deploy capital, effort, or creativity to create value that people will pay for? That's the shift. That's the transformation. From employee to allocator, from dependent to independent, from small to scalable. You're not looking for a job. You're creating value. You're not asking for permission. You're building assets. You're not trading time. You're allocating resources toward systems that multiply your impact and income. That's the key. See yourself differently, and you'll behave differently. Behave differently, and you'll earn differently. Right now, you see yourself as someone who needs a job, someone who needs a boss, someone who needs permission to make money. And that identity keeps you stuck. The rich see themselves as asset allocators. They see money as a tool, time as a resource, people as leverage. They're constantly asking, what assets can I build or acquire that generate cash flow? Real estate, businesses, digital products, intellectual property, investments, systems, anything that produces income without requiring their constant physical presence. You need to start thinking like this. Today, right now. What value can you create that people will pay for repeatedly? Maybe it's a digital course, an online service, a software tool, a membership, a product, a consulting offer, a system that solves a problem people have and are willing to pay to solve. You don't need permission to create this. You don't need a degree. You don't need approval. You need to stop waiting and start building. That's your choice. Keep waiting for someone to hire you, or start building something people will pay you for. Keep trading time, or start creating assets. You're an asset allocator now. Act like it. Now let's talk about why money shows up for some people and runs from others. Money doesn't respond to need. It responds to value and confidence. Listen carefully. You think if you need money badly enough, it will come. If you pray hard enough, hope hard enough, wish hard enough, it will show up. It won't. Money doesn't care about your needs. Money doesn't respond to desperation. Money moves toward value and competence. The rich command money by believing they deserve it, expecting it, and refusing to beg, hope, or wait for permission to claim it. That's the key. They don't beg. They don't hope. They command. They believe they deserve wealth, not because they're special, but because they've decided they do. They've claimed it. They expect it, and their energy, actions, and decisions reflect that expectation. When you need money, you're desperate, and desperation repels money. Desperation makes you accept less, charge less, settle for less. It makes you weak in negotiations, unclear in your value, uncertain in your pricing. But when you command money, you're confident. You know your value. You expect to be paid well. You don't negotiate down. You don't apologize for your prices. You don't beg for opportunities. You create them. You offer value. You expect payment. You move with certainty. Money responds to that. Money moves toward confidence, toward clarity, toward people who believe they deserve it and act accordingly. You need to stop needing money and start commanding it. Stop hoping it shows up and start expecting it. Stop begging for opportunities and start creating them. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. You can't attract what you don't believe you deserve. You can't command what you're afraid to claim. The rich aren't afraid to claim wealth. They're not embarrassed by money. They're not apologizing for success. They believe they deserve it, they expect it, and they take bold action to create it. You have to do the same. Starting now. Here's what that looks like. You set your prices based on value, not fear. You don't discount because someone hesitates. You don't lower your standards because someone questions them. You don't shrink because someone else is uncomfortable with your confidence. You stand firm. You know your worth. You communicate your value. You expect to be paid well. And you walk away from anything that doesn't match that expectation. That's commanding money. That's how the rich operate. They don't chase, they attract. They don't beg, they offer. They don't hope, they expect. And the market responds. Because energy matters. Confidence matters. Belief matters. If you don't believe you deserve wealth, no one else will either. If you don't expect to be paid well, you won't be. If you're begging, hoping, and waiting, you'll stay broke. But if you command money with confidence, clarity, and certainty, it will come. Not because you need it, but because you've created value and you expect to be compensated accordingly. That's the shift. From needing to commanding. From hoping to expecting. From begging to offering. You have a choice. Keep needing money and watch it avoid you. Or start commanding it and watch it flow toward you. The rich don't work for money. They don't trade time for it. They don't beg for it. They build systems that generate it. They see themselves as asset allocators. They command it with confidence and value. And now you know the secret. You're not an employee anymore. You're a builder, an allocator, a creator of value. And you command money, you don't chase it. You've learned how the rich relate to money. Now let's talk about what you're doing with your time that's keeping you broke. Because while you're consuming, someone else is creating, and that's why they're rich, and you're not. Here's why you're broke. You're a consumer, a professional consumer. You consume content, you consume entertainment, you consume other people's creativity, other people's ideas, other people's dreams, and your bank account reflects exactly that. You spend 8 hours a day consuming, scrolling feeds, watching videos, binging shows, reading about other people's success, watching other people build their dreams while you sit there, phone in hand, broke. That's not rest. That's not relaxation. That's financial suicide disguised as downtime. Consumers stay broke, creators get rich. That's the formula. That's the law. And you're on the wrong side of it. Let me be direct. You wake up and the first thing you do is check your phone. Instagram. TikTok. Twitter. YouTube. You scroll. You watch. You consume. You see someone living the life you want and you double tap it. You watch someone building the business you dream about and you leave a comment. You study someone else's success and you think, that's amazing. Then you keep scrolling. Hours pass. You've consumed hundreds of videos, thousands of images, dozens of articles, and what have you created? Nothing. What have you built? Nothing. What have you produced that moves you closer to wealth? Nothing. You're entertained, you're informed, you're inspired, but you're still broke. Because consumption doesn't pay. Creation does. The rich are not scrolling for 8 hours. They're not binge-watching for 6 hours. They're not spending their evenings watching other people build dreams. They're building their own. That's the key. While you're watching, they're working. While you're consuming, they're creating. While you're entertained, they're earning. And the gap between you and them gets wider every single day. You have a choice. You can keep consuming, or you can start creating. You can keep watching, or you can start building. You can keep being the audience, or you can become the performer. But you can't do both. You don't have time for both. Every hour you spend consuming is an hour you're not creating. And every hour you're not creating is an hour you're staying broke. Here's what you need to understand. Every hour you spend on Netflix, TikTok, or YouTube watching instead of building is an hour the rich spend creating products, launching services, writing content, building networks, and stacking income streams that pay them while they sleep. Think about that. Right now, while you're listening to this, someone is building a product that will make them money tomorrow. Someone is writing content that will attract customers next week. Someone is launching a service that will generate income for years. And what are you doing tonight after you finish listening to this? Are you going to scroll? Are you going to watch? Are you going to consume? Or are you going to create? The rich don't have more hours than you. They don't have more time. They have the same 24 hours. But they spend those hours differently. You spend your hours consuming. They spend their hours creating. You watch Netflix for 3 hours. They spend 3 hours building a digital product. You scroll TikTok for 2 hours. They spend 2 hours creating content that attracts an audience. You watch YouTube videos about success for an hour. They spend an hour actually doing the things that create success. That's the difference. It's not talent, it's not luck, it's not opportunity, it's time allocation. It's priority, it's decision. You're choosing consumption, they're choosing creation, and your bank accounts reflect those choices. That's the key. Your time is your most valuable asset, more valuable than money, because time creates money, but only if you spend it creating instead of consuming. Every hour you waste is an hour you can't get back. Every evening you spend scrolling is an evening that could have moved you closer to financial freedom. Every weekend you spend binge-watching is a weekend the rich spend building businesses. You have a choice. Guard your time like it's currency. Because it is. It's the only currency that matters. And you're spending it on things that don't pay you. Here's what you do starting tonight. Track your consumption. Seriously. Track it. Write down how many hours you spend on social media. How many hours on streaming services. How many hours watching, scrolling, consuming. Then cut that number in half. Take those hours back. Redirect them toward creation. Create a product. Build a service. Write content. Launch an offer. Start a business. Develop a skill. Build an audience. Create value that people will pay for. That's not optional. That's mandatory if you want wealth. You don't need permission to create. You don't need a degree. You don't need approval. You just need to start. Today, tonight, right now. Stop watching other people build and start building yourself. Stop consuming other people's creativity and start creating your own. Stop being the audience and become the creator. That's the shift. And it happens the moment you decide it does. Now here's the part that will set you free. The shift from consumer to creator isn't about talent. It's about decision. You think you can't create because you're not talented enough, not skilled enough, not experienced enough, not creative enough. That's a lie. A convenient lie that keeps you consuming instead of creating. Talent is not the requirement. Decision is. Decide today that you will produce more than you consume. Decide that you will create more than you watch. Decide that you will build more than you buy. That's it. That's the shift. It's not complicated. It's a decision followed by consistent action. The rich aren't more talented than you. They're more committed. They decided to create and they did it. Imperfectly, inconsistently at first. But they did it. And they kept doing it until creation became their default and consumption became the exception. You need to do the same. You don't need to be great to start. You need to start to become great. You don't need talent to create your first product. You need courage. You don't need experience to offer your first service. You need confidence. Start messy. Start imperfect. Start scared. But start. Create something today. Anything. A post, a video, an offer, a product, a piece of content. Something that moves you from consumer to creator. And do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next, until creating becomes your identity and consuming becomes the rare exception. That's the key. It's not about talent, it's about discipline. It's not about being perfect, it's about being consistent. It's not about waiting until you're ready. It's about starting before you're ready and becoming ready through the process. You have a choice: wait until you feel talented enough and you'll wait forever. Or start now, build momentum, and become talented through repetition. The rich didn't wait, they started. And you need to start too. Here's your challenge. For the next 90 days, produce more than you consume. Create more than you watch. Build more than you buy. Spend 2 hours creating for every 1 hour you spend consuming. Spend your evenings building instead of scrolling. Spend your weekends launching instead of binge watching. And watch what happens. Watch your skills improve. Watch your confidence grow. Watch your income increase. Watch your life transform. Because creation compounds. Every piece of content you create builds your audience. Every product you launch builds your reputation. Every service you offer builds your income. Consumption doesn't compound, it disappears. You watch a show, it's gone. You scroll a feed, it's forgotten. You consume for 8 hours and you have nothing to show for it except wasted time and the same bank account. But creation compounds, it stacks, it grows, it pays you long after you created it. That's the shift. From consumption that disappears to creation that compounds. From time wasted to time invested. From staying broke to building wealth. You have a choice, and that choice determines everything. Stop consuming and start creating. Stop watching and start building. Stop being entertained by other people's success and start creating your own. You don't need their permission. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need more talent. You need a decision and daily action. Decide now. Create today. Build tomorrow. And watch your wealth reflect that shift within 90 days. You're not a consumer anymore. You're a creator. And creators don't stay broke. They build wealth. They build assets. They build futures. That's who you are now. A creator. A builder. Someone who produces value instead of just consuming it. You stopped consuming. You started creating. Now let's talk about why you're still struggling even when you work hard. Because the problem isn't your effort. The problem is your identity. And until you fix that, nothing else matters. You think your problem is money. It's not. Your problem is who you think you are. Your problem is your identity. Your problem is the story you tell yourself about yourself every single day. And until you change that story, your bank account will never change. Listen to me carefully. You say you want to be rich, but you still identify as someone who struggles, someone who barely makes it, someone who's not good with money, someone who's always behind, someone who can't catch a break. And your identity always wins. Always. Your bank account always matches who you believe you are. That's the law. That's how this works. You can't out-earn your identity. You can't outperform your self-concept. You can't build wealth while believing you're broke. Your identity is your financial ceiling. And right now, your ceiling is low, very low. You've built an identity around struggle, around lack, around limitation. And every time money tries to come into your life that exceeds that identity, you reject it, sabotage it, push it away. Not consciously, but subconsciously, because it doesn't match who you believe you are. Think about it. Every time you get a little extra money, what happens? It disappears. You spend it. Something breaks. An unexpected bill shows up. The money vanishes. That's not bad luck. That's identity protection. Your subconscious mind is protecting your identity. You believe you're someone who struggles with money, so your mind makes sure you stay that way. That's the key. Your mind will always find a way to make your external reality match your internal identity. always. If you identify as broke, you'll stay broke. If you identify as wealthy, you'll become wealthy, not because of magic, because of alignment. Your actions, decisions, habits, and behaviors will align with whoever you believe you are. So who are you, really? Not who you want to be, not who you're trying to be. Who do you believe you are right now? When you think about money, what's your first thought? I struggle with this. I'm not good at this. I never have enough. Money doesn't like me. Those aren't facts. Those are identity statements, and they're destroying you financially. You have a choice. You can keep that identity and stay broke, or you can build a new identity and become wealthy. Here's what you do. Starting today, you change your identity statements. You stop saying, I'm bad with money, and start saying, I'm excellent with money. You stop saying, I struggle financially, and start saying, money flows to me easily. You stop saying, I can't afford it, and start saying, I choose how I allocate my resources. Those aren't affirmations. Those are identity declarations. You're telling your subconscious who you are, and your subconscious will align your life with that declaration. That's the shift. New identity, new reality. It's that simple, and it's that hard. Because you believed the old story for so long, changing it feels fake, uncomfortable, wrong, good. Discomfort means you're growing. Discomfort means you're changing. Stay uncomfortable until the new identity becomes comfortable. Now let's go deeper. Rich people don't say, I'm trying to be wealthy. They say, I am wealthy before the money shows up. Do you hear that? Before the money shows up. They don't wait for the bank account to prove it. They don't wait for the investments to confirm it. They don't wait for external validation. They declare it first. They claim it first. They become it first, because they understand that identity precedes reality. Belief precedes bank balance. Self-concept creates circumstances. You've been doing it backwards. You've been waiting for the money to show up so you can finally believe you're wealthy. You've been waiting for success to prove you're successful. You've been waiting for the results to change your identity. But it doesn't work that way. It works the opposite way. You become wealthy in your identity first. Then your actions change. Then your decisions change. Then your habits change. Then your results change. Then your bank account changes. Identity first, results second, not the other way around. That's the key. The rich understand this. They don't wait. They declare. They claim. They become. And then reality catches up. You need to do the same. Right now. Today, stop waiting for permission from your bank account to believe you're wealthy. Decide you're wealthy now. Declare it. Claim it. Become it. Not in some fake pretend way, in a deep cellular identity level way. You are wealthy. Not trying to be. Not hoping to be. You are. Your bank account hasn't caught up yet. That's fine, it will. Because your actions are about to change. Your decisions are about to align. Your habits are about to reflect your new identity. But you have to claim the identity first. Here's what that sounds like. I am wealthy. I am financially abundant. I am someone money flows to easily and consistently. I am a millionaire in the making. Say it out loud, right now. Say it out loud, right now. Say it until it feels real. Say it until your subconscious accepts it. Say it until your body relaxes into it. You don't need their permission. You don't need proof. You don't need anyone to agree. You declare your identity and you live from it. That's what the rich do. That's what you're going to do starting now. Now here's where this gets practical. Stop introducing yourself by your job title or your salary. Start introducing yourself by your vision, your mission, your inevitable future. This is critical. Every time you introduce yourself, you're reinforcing your identity. Either you're reinforcing limitation or you're reinforcing expansion. Most people introduce themselves by their limitation. I'm a cashier. I'm an assistant. I'm between jobs. I work at. And every time they say it, they're locking themselves into that identity. But the rich introduce themselves differently. They introduce themselves by their vision, their mission, their future, not their current circumstances. I'm building a company that. I'm creating a platform for. I'm launching a movement around. I'm in the process of. Do you see the difference? One is locked in the present. The other is expanding into the future. One is defined by what is. The other is defined by what will be. Your introduction matters, because every time you say it, you're programming yourself. You're telling yourself and others who you are. And that declaration shapes everything. That's the key. Stop defining yourself by your current circumstances. Start defining yourself by your inevitable future. You have a choice. Introduce yourself as who you are today and stay there. Or introduce yourself as who you're becoming and grow into it. Here's how this works practically. Someone asks what you do. Instead of saying your job title, you say your vision. I'm building a digital business that helps people achieve financial freedom. I'm creating educational content that transforms lives. I'm launching a service that solves this specific problem, even if you're just starting, even if you haven't made $1 yet. You introduce yourself by your vision, not your limitation, because that declaration does something powerful. It changes how you see yourself. It changes how others see you. And it opens doors that would have stayed closed if you introduced yourself by your job title. Opportunities come to people with vision. Money comes to people with confidence. Partnerships come to people with clarity about where they're going. But if you're introducing yourself as just or only or I'm trying to, you're repelling all of that. You don't need permission to introduce yourself by your vision. You don't need to wait until you've made it. You claim it now and you grow into it. That's what the rich do. They claim the identity before they have the results, and the results follow. Always. Watch what happens when you start doing this. Watch how people respond differently. Watch how opportunities start appearing. Watch how your own behavior starts shifting. Because when you declare yourself as someone building something significant, you start acting like it. You start making decisions like it. You start showing up like it. And your reality bends to match your declaration. That's the power of identity. It's not about positive thinking. It's not about fake affirmations. It's about deciding who you are and living from that decision with absolute conviction. You have a choice. Keep your broke identity and stay broke. Or build a wealthy identity and become wealthy. It's not about your circumstances. It's about your self-concept. It's not about your current bank account. It's about who you believe you are. Change your identity, and everything else changes. Keep your identity, and nothing changes. Starting tonight, you are wealthy. You are abundant. You are someone money flows to. You are building something significant. You are on your way to financial freedom. Not trying, not hoping. You are, say it, believe it, live from it, and watch your external world reshape itself to match your internal declaration. You don't have a money problem. You never did. You have an identity problem. And that problem ends tonight. You've claimed your new identity. You've declared yourself wealthy. Now let's talk about the expensive addiction that's keeping you from living that identity. The addiction to comfort. And why comfort is the most expensive thing you'll ever pay for. You're addicted to comfort, and that addiction is costing you everything. Every time you choose what's comfortable over what's necessary, you're paying a price. A massive price. A price that compounds daily and guarantees you stay exactly where you are. Comfort is expensive. More expensive than any luxury. More expensive than any mistake. Because comfort costs you your potential, your growth, your wealth, your future. And you're choosing it every single day. Let me be direct. Comfort is costing you millions. Every time you choose the familiar over the frightening, the safe over the strategic, the easy over the exponential, you're paying a compound interest fee that guarantees you stay broke. Think about it. You wake up, you do the same routine, go to the same job, have the same conversations, make the same decisions, avoid the same risks, choose the same safe path. That's comfortable, and that comfort is destroying you. Because growth doesn't happen in comfort. Wealth doesn't happen in comfort. Transformation doesn't happen in comfort. Everything you want is on the other side of discomfort, and you're refusing to go there. You say you want to be rich, but you choose comfort. You say you want freedom, but you choose safety. You say you want more, but you choose the familiar. And your bank account reflects that choice. Your life reflects that choice. Your future reflects that choice. That's the key. Every choice for comfort is a choice against wealth. Every decision to stay safe is a decision to stay broke. Every moment you avoid discomfort is a moment you avoid growth. You have a choice: comfort or growth, safety or wealth, familiar or freedom. You don't get both. The rich rejected comfort. They chose discomfort. They chose risk. They chose the unfamiliar, and that choice made them wealthy. You need to make the same choice today, right now. Reject comfort. Choose discomfort. Choose growth. Choose wealth. Here's what comfort looks like in real life. Comfort is staying at the job you hate because it's familiar. Comfort is not starting the business because it's risky. Comfort is not making the offer because it's uncomfortable. Comfort is not having the conversation because it's awkward. Comfort is choosing what feels safe over what creates results. And every time you choose comfort, you're choosing to stay exactly where you are. You're choosing limitation. You're choosing stagnation. You're choosing broke. That's the price. And it compounds, because every day you stay comfortable is another day you're not growing. Another day you're not building. Another day you're not moving toward wealth. And those days add up. They become weeks, months, years, decades, and suddenly you've spent your entire life comfortable and broke. That's the compound interest fee. You think you're just choosing comfort today, but you're actually choosing poverty for the rest of your life. You have a choice. Pay the price of discomfort now and enjoy the reward of wealth later, or pay the price of comfort now and suffer the consequence of poverty forever. Choose wisely. Now let's talk about the rich. The rich are allergic to comfort. They don't seek it. They don't celebrate it. They don't rest in it. They avoid it like poison. Because they know comfort kills. Comfort kills growth, kills ambition, kills momentum, kills wealth. The rich seek tension, challenge, discomfort. They know growth only happens outside the comfort zone. They know expansion requires friction. They know wealth requires risk. If you're comfortable, you're dying. Financially, mentally, spiritually, and you don't even know it. That's the truth. Comfort feels good, comfort feels safe. But comfort is death in slow motion. You're not growing. You're not expanding. You're not building. You're just existing, surviving, staying the same. And staying the same means staying broke. The rich understand this. They're constantly pushing themselves into discomfort, into new challenges, into unfamiliar territory, into situations that scare them, not because they're masochists, but because they know that's where the money is, that's where the growth is, that's where the opportunity is. That's the key. Everything you want is in the place you're avoiding. Every breakthrough is on the other side of the discomfort you're running from. Every level of wealth requires a level of discomfort you haven't paid yet. So the rich pay it. Daily, they choose the hard conversation, the risky investment, the uncomfortable decision. the unfamiliar path, because they know discomfort is the price of expansion, and they're willing to pay that price. Are you? You have a choice. Stay comfortable and stay broke, or get uncomfortable and get wealthy. There's no middle ground. There's no comfortable path to wealth. It doesn't exist. Here's what you need to do. Starting today, seek discomfort. Actively, intentionally, daily. Make the call you've been avoiding. Have the conversation you've been postponing. Launch the offer you've been perfecting. Start the business you've been planning. Take the risk you've been calculating. Stop waiting for comfort. It's not coming. Wealth is not comfortable. Growth is not comfortable. Success is not comfortable. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's the shift. That's the transformation. That's the price you have to pay. The rich pay it gladly, because they know what's on the other side. And now you know too. Now let's get practical. Your daily routine is either building wealth or destroying it. There's no neutral. Your routine is either moving you forward or keeping you stuck. And if your routine looks the same as it did last year, your bank account will too. That's the law. Same routine, same results. Different routine, different results. It's that simple. Look at your daily routine right now. What time do you wake up? What's the first thing you do? How do you spend your morning, your afternoon, your evening? What actions do you take? What decisions do you make? If that routine is the same as last year, you're in trouble. Because that means you're not growing. You're not expanding. You're not building anything new. You're just repeating. And repetition without evolution is stagnation. The rich change their routines constantly. They're always adding new challenges, new disciplines, new discomforts, because they know that new levels require new behaviors. You can't get to the next level with your current routine. You need to upgrade, evolve, transform your daily actions. That's the key. Your routine creates your results. Your habits create your wealth. Your daily decisions determine your financial future. If you want different results, you need a different routine. If you want more money, you need more discomfort in your daily schedule. Discomfort is the price of expansion, and the rich pay it gladly every single day. Here's what that looks like. The rich wake up early, not because they're morning people, but because early mornings are uncomfortable and they know discomfort builds discipline. The rich work out, not because they love exercise, but because physical discomfort builds mental toughness, and mental toughness creates wealth. The rich make sales calls, have hard conversations, launch before they're ready, invest when it's scary, fire people who aren't performing, hire people better than them, take risks that make them nervous. All of that is uncomfortable, and they do it every single day because they know their routine is their destiny, and they're committed to a destiny of wealth which requires a routine of discomfort. You need the same commitment. Starting today, add discomfort to your routine. Deliberately, strategically, daily. What's one thing you've been avoiding because it's uncomfortable? That's the thing you need to do first thing tomorrow morning, not eventually. Tomorrow. What's one conversation you need to have that you've been postponing? Have it this week, not when you're ready. This week, what's one action that would move you toward wealth but feels scary? Take that action today, not when it feels right. Today, that's how you upgrade your routine. You inject discomfort, you add challenge, you choose the hard thing over the easy thing every single day. And within weeks, your results will change. Within months, your income will change. Within a year, your entire life will change. Because your routine changed, your willingness to be uncomfortable changed, your commitment to growth changed. It's not about talent, it's about discipline. It's not about luck, it's about daily choices. It's not about circumstances, it's about routine. You have a choice. Keep your comfortable routine and stay broke, or build an uncomfortable routine and become wealthy. Same routine, same life. New routine, new life. It's that direct. It's that simple. Stop defending your comfort. Stop justifying your routine. Stop pretending that doing the same thing will somehow produce different results. It won't. It never does. Same actions create same outcomes. That's the law. You can't break it. You can only work with it. So work with it. Change your routine. Add discomfort. Choose challenge. Seek tension. Embrace the unfamiliar. That's the price of wealth. And if you're not willing to pay it, you'll stay broke. If you are willing to pay it, you'll become rich. The choice is yours. It always has been. You've rejected comfort. You've chosen discomfort. You've upgraded your routine. Now let's talk about why you're still not seeing results fast enough. Because you're stuck in the most dangerous trap of all. The trap of planning. And while you're planning, money is moving fast without you. You're still planning, still researching, still preparing, still waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect strategy, the perfect conditions. And while you're planning, you're staying broke. Because money doesn't wait. Money moves fast, and it moves toward people who move fast, people who execute, people who act. Money loves speed. Poverty loves planning, and you've been choosing poverty. Let me be clear. Poor people plan forever and never execute. They research, they prepare, they analyze, they wait for perfect conditions, and they call it being smart, when it's actually procrastination dressed in productivity. You've been doing this. You know you have. You've been planning that business for months, maybe years. You've been researching that product, perfecting that offer, waiting for the right time, the right knowledge, the right confidence. And what have you built? Nothing. What have you launched? Nothing. What money have you made? Nothing. Because planning doesn't pay. Execution does. The rich move fast. They don't wait. They don't over-prepare. They don't need perfect conditions. They move, they execute, they launch, and then they adjust. They fail fast. They learn fast. They pivot fast. And they win fast. That's the key. Speed beats perfection. Action beats planning. Execution beats preparation. You've been preparing for years. The rich executed in weeks, and now they're wealthy and you're still planning. That's the difference. It's not intelligence. It's not resources. It's speed. It's the willingness to move before you're ready, to launch before it's perfect, to execute before you have all the answers. You have a choice. Keep planning and stay broke, or start executing and build wealth. But you can't do both. You don't have time for both. Every day you spend planning is a day you're not earning. Every week you spend preparing is a week someone else is building market share. Stop planning. Start executing. Today, right now, this moment. Here's what's really happening. Every day you wait to start that business, launch that product, make that offer, or take that risk is a day the market moves without you. Opportunities vanish. Customers find other solutions. Competitors take your idea and execute it faster. And someone else with less skill but more speed takes the money that should have been yours. That's the cost of waiting. That's the price of planning. While you're perfecting, someone else is profiting. Think about it. How many ideas have you had that you saw someone else execute 6 months later? How many businesses have you planned that you now see thriving under someone else's brand? How many opportunities have you watched disappear because you waited too long? That's not bad luck. That's slow execution. That's planning over action. That's poverty thinking disguised as wisdom. The market doesn't wait for you to be ready. The market doesn't care about your plan. The market rewards speed, execution, action, and it punishes hesitation. Every day you wait is a day you lose. Every week you delay is a week you fall further behind. Every month you prepare is a month the rich are earning while you're learning. That's the key. They're earning. You're learning. They're building. You're planning. They're wealthy. You're waiting. And the gap gets wider every single day. You don't need more time. You don't need more preparation. You don't need more research. You need to move. Now. Launch that offer today. Start that business this week. Make that call this morning. Take that risk right now. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. They're not coming. There's never a perfect time. Never a perfect plan. Never perfect certainty. The rich don't wait for perfect. They create momentum with imperfect action and perfect it along the way. You need to do the same. Move fast. Execute now. Adjust later. That's how wealth is built. Not through perfect plans. Through fast execution and rapid iteration. You have a choice. Wait for perfect and stay broke. Or move now and get wealthy. Now here's the truth that will set you free. Imperfect action beats perfect planning every single time. Every single time. The rich know this. They don't wait until the plan is perfect. They don't wait until they have all the answers. They don't wait until they feel ready. They move with what they have. They launch with version 1. They execute with imperfect information, and they figure it out along the way. Because they know that speed creates momentum. Momentum creates results, and results create confidence, cash, and compounding success that planning alone never will. That's the formula. Speed to momentum, momentum to results, results to confidence, confidence to more action to more results to wealth. But it all starts with speed, with imperfect action, with launching before you're ready. Planning doesn't create momentum. Planning creates more planning. Research doesn't create results. Research creates more research. Preparation doesn't create confidence. Preparation creates more doubt. But action creates everything. Action creates feedback. Feedback creates learning. Learning creates improvement. Improvement creates results. Results create wealth. That's the key. You learn more from 1 day of action than 1 year of planning. You earn more from 1 month of execution than 1 decade of preparation. The rich understand this deeply. They're not perfectionists. They're executors. They're not planners. They're doers. They're not researchers. They're launchers. And their bank accounts prove it. You need to become an executor. Starting now, today, this moment. Stop perfecting that website. Launch it today. Imperfect, incomplete, good enough, and improve it as you go. Stop preparing that offer. Make it today. To one person, then 10, then 100, and refine it based on real feedback, not imaginary objections. Stop researching that market. Enter it today. Test, learn, adjust, and dominate through speed and iteration, not through planning and perfection. That's how the rich operate. That's how you need to operate. It's not about being reckless. It's about being replete. It's not about being careless. It's about being committed to action over analysis. You've analyzed enough. You've prepared enough. You've planned enough. You've planned enough. Now it's time to move. Here's your new rule. Imperfect action today beats perfect action tomorrow. Every time. No exceptions. If you have an idea, execute it within 48 hours. Not next month. Not when you're ready. Within 48 hours. Launch something. Test something. Create something. Offer something. If you have a product concept, build a minimum version and sell it within 1 week. Not when it's perfect. Not when it has every feature. Within 1 week. Get it in front of customers and let them tell you what to improve. If you have a business idea, start it this weekend, not after more research, not after another course. This weekend, Register the business. Build the offer. Make the first sale. Speed, speed, speed. That's the competitive advantage. That's the wealth builder. That's the poverty destroyer. You don't need their permission to move fast. You don't need perfect conditions to execute. You don't need complete certainty to launch. You need a decision and immediate action. The rich make fast decisions and slow reversals. The poor make slow decisions and fast reversals. The rich commit quickly and adjust as needed. The poor deliberate endlessly and quit at the first obstacle. Which one are you? Which one do you want to be? You have a choice. Decide fast. Execute faster. Adjust fastest. That's the rhythm of wealth. Decision, action, adjustment. Repeat. Fast, faster, faster. Not someday. Not when you're ready. Not when conditions are perfect. Now. Today. This moment, money is moving right now. Opportunities are available right now. Customers are buying right now. Just not from you. Because you're not in the market yet. You're still planning. But that ends today. You're done planning. You're done preparing. You're done perfecting. You're launching. You're executing. You're moving fast, with imperfect action, with incomplete information, with uncertainty, because that's what the rich do. And you're rich now. Remember, you claimed that identity in Chapter 4. Now live it. Rich people move fast, so move fast. Rich people execute imperfectly, so execute imperfectly. Rich people adjust rapidly, so adjust rapidly. That's your new operating system. Speed, action, adjustment, repeat. Not perfect planning, not endless preparation, not waiting for certainty. Just speed. Speed creates everything you want. Speed creates momentum. Momentum creates results. Results create wealth. Planning creates nothing but more planning, and you're done with that. Forever. You've chosen speed over planning. You've chosen action over perfection. You've chosen execution over preparation. Now let's talk about the invisible force that's been sabotaging everything. The force that's been keeping you broke, even when you work hard and move fast. Your circle. The people around you. Because your circle is keeping you broke, your problem isn't just you. It's the people around you. The people you call friends. The people you spend time with. The people whose opinions you value. The people who influence your decisions, your habits, your beliefs. They're keeping you broke. And until you change your circle, you won't change your bank account. Let me give you a formula that never fails. Show me your 5 closest trends and I'll show you your income, your habits, your excuses, and your future. Show me who you spend the most time with, and I'll predict exactly where you'll be in 5 years. Because you don't just spend time with people. You absorb them. You become them. You mirror them. If everyone around you is broke, complaining, blaming, and stuck, you will be too. No matter how motivated you feel right now, no matter how much you want to change, no matter how hard you work, your environment is stronger than your willpower. Your circle is more powerful than your ambition. Your associations determine your destination. That's the law. And you can't break it. You can only work with it. Right now, look at your 5 closest friends. The people you talk to most. The people you spend your time with. What do they talk about? What do they believe about money? What actions are they taking? What results are they getting? If they're broke, you're broke. If they're complaining, you're complaining. If they're stuck, you're stuck. If they're not building anything, you're not building anything. Because proximity is power. Association is destiny. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That's the key. Your circle isn't neutral. It's either lifting you or dragging you down. It's either pushing you toward wealth or pulling you toward poverty. And right now, if you're honest, it's pulling you down. You have a choice. Change your circle or stay broke. Upgrade your environment. or accept your current results, because those are your only two options. You can't keep the same circle and expect different results. You can't surround yourself with broke, negative, stuck people and somehow become wealthy, positive, and free. It doesn't work that way. It never has. It never will. Here's what the rich do. The rich curate their environment ruthlessly. They protect their energy like it's currency. Because it is, they remove dream killers, energy vampires, mediocrity merchants, and they do it without guilt, without apology, without explanation. Because they understand that proximity is power and association is destiny. They understand that you become who you spend time with, and they're committed to becoming wealthy, successful, and free. So they choose their circle intentionally, strategically, ruthlessly. They ask, is this person challenging me to grow? Is this person investing in themselves? Is this person building something? Is this person adding value to my life or draining energy from it? And if the answer is no, they create distance, not with drama, not with announcements, just with quiet, intentional separation. That's the key. The rich don't tolerate energy drains. They don't keep people around out of obligation. They don't maintain relationships that don't serve their growth. They curate, they protect, they guard their circle like their life depends on it, because it does. Your circle determines your mindset. Your mindset determines your actions. Your actions determine your results. Your results determine your life. So if your circle is broke, your life will be broke. If your circle is wealthy, your life will be wealthy. It's that direct. It's that simple. You need to curate your circle starting today, not eventually. Today. Look at your 5 closest relationships. Are they challenging you? Are they building something? Are they investing in growth? Are they supporting your dreams or subtly sabotaging them with doubt, negativity, or realistic advice? If they're not adding value, they're subtracting it. If they're not lifting you, they're dragging you down. If they're not growing, they're keeping you stuck. You have a choice. Keep them and stay where you are, or create distance and grow beyond them. That's not cruel. That's necessary. That's what the rich do. And you're rich now. So do what the rich do. Now here's the part that will make you uncomfortable. Stop defending people who don't defend your dreams. You do this constantly. Someone questions your goals, doubts your plans, dismisses your ideas, and instead of removing them from your circle, you defend them. You make excuses for them. You justify their negativity. They're just being realistic. They're trying to protect me. They mean well. They're family. They're old friends. Stop it. Stop defending people who don't defend your dreams. If they're not challenging you to grow, they're keeping you small. If they're not investing in themselves, they're draining you. If they're not building something, they're anchors. And anchors don't help ships sail. Anchors keep them stuck in shallow, safe, and broke waters. That's what your circle is doing to you. They're anchoring you, holding you in place, keeping you from sailing toward the wealth and freedom you say you want, and you're letting them because you're afraid of being alone. Afraid of being judged, afraid of outgrowing people you've known for years. But here's the truth. You're already alone, because no one in your current circle is going where you're going. No one is building what you're building. No one is transforming the way you're transforming, so you can either stay stuck with them or sail away toward your future. But you can't do both. That's the key. Growth requires separation. Expansion requires distance. Wealth requires new associations. You don't need their permission to outgrow them. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to make them understand. You just need to move, create space, spend less time with energy drains and more time with energy gains, less time with complainers and more time with creators, less time with people who talk about problems and more time with people who build solutions. That's how you upgrade your circle. Intentionally, gradually, relentlessly. Here's what that looks like practically. You stop answering every call. You stop accepting every invitation. You stop participating in every conversation that drains you. You start saying no. No to gossip. No to negativity. No to complaining sessions disguised as friendship. No to people who want to drag you back down to their level. And you start saying yes. Yes to people who challenge you. Yes to communities that elevate you. Yes to mentors who've achieved what you want to achieve. Yes to environments that demand more from you. You don't need to announce this. You don't need to burn bridges. You just quietly, intentionally shift your time, energy, and attention toward people who are going where you're going. That's the shift. From obligation-based relationships to growth-based relationships. From draining associations to empowering associations. From anchors to accelerators. You have a choice. Protect your old circle and stay broke. Or build a new circle and become wealthy. It's not about being mean. It's about being strategic. It's not about abandoning people. It's about prioritizing your growth. It's not about being selfish. It's about being serious about your future. The rich are serious about their circles. They know their environment shapes their destiny, so they curate it ruthlessly. They protect it relentlessly. They upgrade it constantly. You need to do the same. Starting today, here's your action step. Identify one person in your circle who consistently drains your energy, doubts your dreams, or keeps you stuck in small thinking. Create distance. Reduce contact. Stop seeking their opinion. Stop spending time with them. And identify one person, community, or environment that challenges you to grow. Someone who's ahead of where you are. Someone who's building what you want to build. Someone who believes in possibility instead of limitation. Spend more time there. Invest more energy there. Seek advice there. Learn there. Grow there. That's how you change your circle. One relationship at a time. One decision at a time. One day at a time. And as your circle changes, your mindset changes. Your habits change. Your actions change. Your results change. Your bank account changes. Because you become who you surround yourself with. That's the law. That's the truth. That's the key to everything. Stop defending anchors. Stop protecting energy drains. Stop justifying relationships that don't serve your growth. You're building wealth. You're creating freedom. You're transforming your life, and you need a circle that supports that transformation, not sabotages it. You don't need their permission to upgrade your circle. You don't need to feel guilty about growing beyond people. You don't need to shrink so others feel comfortable. You need to rise. And rising means leaving some people behind, not with cruelty, but with clarity, with purpose, with commitment to your future. You've upgraded your circle. You've removed the anchors. You've surrounded yourself with accelerators. Now let's talk about the silent sabotage you're committing against yourself every single day. The sabotage of settling for just enough. And why just enough is the most dangerous goal you could ever have. You've been programmed to want less, programmed to settle, programmed to aim for just enough to pay the bills, just enough to get by, just enough to survive, just enough to not struggle too much. And that programming is destroying you financially, because just enough is a trap, a cycle, a prison disguised as responsibility. You've been told that wanting more is greedy, that being satisfied with enough is wisdom, that contentment with less is virtue. But that's not wisdom. That's resignation. That's surrender. That's programming designed to keep you small, broke, uncontrollable. Let me be direct. You've been programmed to want just enough, enough to pay bills, enough to get by, enough to survive. And that programming keeps you trapped in a cycle of working hard, staying broke, and calling it responsibility when it's actually resignation. Think about your goals. What do you want financially? If you're honest, you probably want enough. Enough to cover expenses. Enough to have a little saved. Enough to not worry constantly. Enough to be comfortable. That's the trap. Enough sounds reasonable, responsible, realistic, but enough is the most dangerous financial goal you could ever have. Because enough keeps you working forever. Enough keeps you stressed. Enough keeps you one emergency away from disaster. Enough keeps you trapped in a job you hate because you can't afford to leave. Enough is not freedom. Enough is survival with better furniture. That's the key. You think you're being responsible by wanting just enough, but you're actually being resigned. You've given up on abundance. You've surrendered to limitation. You've accepted scarcity as your permanent reality. And your bank account reflects that acceptance. The rich rejected enough. They rejected just getting by. They rejected survival thinking. They aimed higher. They demanded more. They went for overflow. And that's why they're rich and you're not. You have a choice. Keep aiming for just enough and stay in the cycle. Or start aiming for overflow and break free. But you can't do both. You can't aim for enough and somehow achieve abundance. Your target determines your trajectory. Your goal determines your outcome. If you aim for enough, you'll get less than enough. If you aim for overflow, you might actually reach enough. That's how it works. Aim low, fall short. Aim high, land somewhere valuable. It's that simple. Now let's talk about what the rich aim for. The rich don't aim for enough. They aim for overflow, excess, abundance, margin, not because they're greedy, but because they understand something you haven't understood yet. Margin creates options. Options create freedom. Freedom creates the life everyone wants, but few are willing to demand for themselves. Listen carefully. Margin is the space between what you have and what you need. If you make exactly enough to cover your bills, you have zero margin. Zero options. Zero freedom. One unexpected expense and you're broke. One emergency and you're in debt. One job loss and you're desperate. That's not security. That's fragility disguised as stability. But if you have overflow, if you make significantly more than you need, you have margin. And margin changes everything. Margin means you can say no to jobs that drain you. Margin means you can invest in opportunities. Margin means you can take risks. Margin means you can take risks. Margin means you're free. That's the key. Freedom doesn't come from having enough. Freedom comes from having overflow, from having margin, from having more than you need so you can choose what you want. The rich understand this deeply. They don't work to pay bills. They work to create margin. They don't aim to survive. They aim to thrive. They don't want enough. They want abundance. Because abundance creates options. And options create freedom. And freedom is what everyone actually wants. But most people won't admit they want because they've been programmed to think it's selfish or unrealistic. It's not. It's smart. It's strategic. It's the only way out of the cycle you're stuck in. You need to stop aiming for enough and start aiming for overflow. Not someday. Starting tonight. Here's what that means practically. When you set income goals, don't ask, how much do I need to cover my expenses? Ask, how much do I want to create margin, options, and freedom? When you price your services, don't charge based on what you need to survive. Charge based on the value you create and the margin you want to build. When you think about money, don't think survival. Think expansion. Don't think enough. Think overflow. Don't think limitation. Think abundance. That's the shift from survival thinking to abundance thinking. From enough to overflow. From trapped to free. You don't need their permission to want more. You don't need to apologize for wanting abundance. You don't need to feel guilty for demanding overflow. You need to reprogram. Starting tonight. Now here's the dangerous pattern you've been repeating. Every time you negotiate yourself down, settle for less or accept good enough, you train your brain to expect scarcity, and your brain will deliver exactly what you've trained it to find. Think about how often you do this. You have an idea for what you should charge, then you lower it because you're afraid no one will pay. You have a goal for what you want to earn. Then you reduce it because it feels unrealistic. You have a vision for what you want to create, then you shrink it because it seems too ambitious. Every single time you do this, you're training your brain. You're teaching it that you don't deserve abundance, that you should expect scarcity, that you need to settle for less. And your brain is an excellent student. It learns quickly. And once it learns that you expect scarcity, it will find scarcity everywhere. It will notice all the reasons you can't charge more, all the evidence that you should settle, all the proof that you need to aim lower. That's the key. Your brain finds what you train it to find. If you train it to find scarcity, it will. If you train it to find abundance, it will. Right now, you've trained it to find scarcity, to expect just enough, to settle for good enough. And that's exactly what you're getting. But you can retrain it. Starting tonight. Here's how. Stop negotiating yourself down. Stop lowering your prices before anyone asks. Stop reducing your goals before you even start. Stop settling for less before you try for more. When you set a price, hold it. When you set a goal, pursue it. When you have a vision, honor it. Don't negotiate with yourself. Don't shrink before you expand. Don't settle before you strive. That's how you reprogram, through consistency, through discipline, through refusing to accept less than you deserve. Every time you hold your price, you're retraining your brain. Every time you pursue your full goal, you're reprogramming your expectations. Every time you refuse to settle, you're teaching yourself that abundance is possible. And slowly your brain adapts. It starts noticing opportunities instead of obstacles. It starts finding abundance instead of scarcity. It starts expecting overflow instead of just enough. That's the transformation, from scarcity programming to abundance programming, from enough thinking to overflow thinking, from settling to demanding. You have a choice. Keep negotiating yourself down and stay broke, or start holding your value and build wealth. It's not about being stubborn. It's about being strategic. It's not about being unrealistic. It's about being committed to abundance instead of settling for scarcity. The rich don't negotiate themselves down. They know their value and they hold it. They set ambitious goals and they pursue them. They create overflow and they protect it. You need to do the same. Starting tonight. Here's your new rule. Never reduce your goal before you pursue it. Never lower your price before someone asks. Never settle for less before you try for more. Hold your value. Pursue your vision. Demand overflow. And train your brain to expect abundance instead of scarcity. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. That's self-respect. That's what wealthy people do. And you're wealthy now. So do what wealthy people do. Stop aiming for just enough. Start aiming for overflow. Stop settling for survival. Start demanding abundance. Stop training your brain for scarcity. Start reprogramming it for wealth. You don't need permission to want more. You don't need to feel guilty about abundance. You don't need to apologize for refusing to settle. You need to reprogram, to demand, to hold your value, to aim for overflow, to create margin, to build freedom. That starts tonight, with one decision: to stop settling, to stop shrinking, to stop accepting just enough. You're done with enough. You're aiming for overflow now. You're creating margin. You're building freedom. You're demanding abundance, because that's what the rich do. And you're rich now, not someday. Now, in your identity, in your decisions, in your actions. You stopped settling for just enough. You're demanding overflow now. You've reprogrammed for abundance. Now let's talk about why you're still not taking action on everything you've learned. Because you're stuck in the most expensive trap of all, the trap of endless learning without earning. The trap of information without execution. You're addicted to learning, and that addiction is keeping you broke. You've read the books, watched the videos, taken the courses, listened to the podcasts, followed the experts, consumed endless content about success, wealth, and achievement, and you're still broke because information without execution is just expensive entertainment, and you become an expert at learning instead of an expert at earning. Let me be clear. You've read the books, watched the videos, taken the courses, and you're still broke. Not because the information is wrong, but because you're not doing anything with it. You're collecting knowledge instead of applying it. You're studying success instead of executing it. You're learning about wealth instead of building it. That's the trap. Learning feels productive. It feels like progress. It feels like you're doing something. But you're not. You're just consuming. Again. Information without execution is worthless. Actually, it's worse than worthless. It's a distraction. It gives you the illusion of progress while keeping you exactly where you are. That's the key. You feel like you're moving forward because you're learning, but your bank account tells the truth. You're not moving. You're stuck. Learning more but earning the same. How many books have you read about making money? How many courses have you bought about building businesses? How many videos have you watched about achieving success? And what have you built? What have you launched? What money have you made from all that learning? If the answer is nothing or very little, you have a problem. An execution problem disguised as an education addiction. You have a choice. Keep learning and stay broke, or start executing and build wealth. But you can't keep doing both at the current ratio. You can't keep spending 90% of your time learning and 10% executing and expect wealthy results. The ratio is backwards, and until you flip it, you will stay broke no matter how much you learn. Here's what the rich do differently. The rich spend 10% of their time learning and 90% implementing. 10% learning, 90% implementing. Not the other way around. Not 90% learning and 10% implementing. Not endless consumption with occasional action. The opposite. They learn just enough to take the next step. Then they take the step. Then they learn from the result. Then they take the next step. Learn. Execute. Learn. Execute. That's the cycle. But you're stuck in learn, 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 learn. No execution. Just consumption. Just information. Just preparation that never leads to action. The poor spend 90% of their time learning and 10% making excuses why they haven't started. They need one more book, one more course, one more strategy, one more piece of information before they're ready, and they're never ready. Because more information doesn't create readiness. It creates overwhelm, confusion, paralysis. That's the key. Knowledge is only potential power. Execution is actual wealth. You can know everything about building a business and stay broke, or you can know very little and execute anyway and become wealthy. Because the market doesn't reward knowledge. It rewards execution. Results. Value delivered. You don't get paid for what you know. You get paid for what you do with what you know. And right now you're doing nothing with everything you know. You're an information hoarder, a knowledge collector, an expert student with a broke bank account. That changes today, right now, this moment. You're done learning for the sake of learning. You're done collecting information. You're done preparing endlessly. You're executing. Starting tonight. That's not optional. That's mandatory. Because every day you spend learning instead of executing is another day you stay broke while the world moves on without you. Here's your new rule. For every 1 hour you spend learning, you spend 9 hours executing. 1 hour learning, 9 hours implementing, That's the ratio. That's the formula. That's how the rich operate and how you're going to operate starting now. Learn just enough to take action. Then take action. Implement, execute, build, launch, offer, create. Then learn from the result. Then execute again. That's the cycle. Not learn, 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 someday execute. But learn, execute, learn from results, execute again. Fast, continuous, relentless execution with just enough learning to guide the next action. You don't need another book. You don't need another course. You don't need another strategy. You need to execute what you already know. And you already know enough. More than enough. You know enough to start a business, launch a product, make an offer, create value, generate income. You're not missing information. You're missing execution. That's the key. It's not about knowing more. It's about doing more with what you already know. Stop waiting to know everything. Start executing with what you know now. Because that execution will teach you more than any book, course, or video ever could. Now here's what you need to do. Close this audiobook after tonight and do one thing. One offer, one outreach, one product launch, one uncomfortable action, one execution. That's all. Just one. Not 10 things, not a perfect plan, not a complete strategy. Just one thing. One action that moves you toward wealth. Make one offer to one person. Launch one simple product. Send one outreach message. Create one piece of valuable content. Take one uncomfortable action you've been avoiding. Just one. Tonight. Tomorrow. This week. But soon. Very soon. Not after more learning. After this, because that one execution will teach you more and pay you more than 1,000 hours of studying ever will. That's the truth. You will learn more from one product launch than from 10 courses about launching products. You will learn more from one sales conversation than from 20 books about sales. You will learn more from one day of execution than from 1 year of education. Because execution teaches in ways information never can. Execution gives you real feedback, real results, real lessons, real money. Information gives you theories, execution gives you reality. And reality is where wealth is built. That's the key. The gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't more information. It's execution. It's taking what you know and doing something with it. One action, one offer, one launch, one conversation, one uncomfortable step. That's what's missing. That's what's keeping you broke. Not lack of knowledge, lack of execution. So execute. Tonight, do one thing. Make one move. Take one action. Then do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. Build a habit of execution, a rhythm of action, a pattern of implementation. 10% learning, 90% doing. That's how you build wealth. Not through endless education. Through relentless execution. You don't need their permission to execute. You don't need perfect knowledge. You don't need complete certainty. You need courage and commitment to take imperfect action with incomplete information. The rich do this constantly. They execute before they're ready. They launch before it's perfect. They offer before they're certain. Because they know execution creates parity, confidence, and cash that studying never will. You need to do the same. Starting now, stop buying courses you won't complete. Stop reading books you won't apply. Stop watching videos that make you feel productive but don't produce results. Start executing. Start building. Start launching. Start offering. Start creating value that people will pay for. That's the shift, from student to practitioner, from learner to earner, from information consumer to wealth creator. It's not about being anti-learning. It's about right-sizing learning and maximizing execution. Learn just enough. Execute a lot. Learn from results. Execute more. That's the cycle. That's the formula. That's how the rich operate, and how you're going to operate from now on. You have a choice. Stay comfortable as a perpetual student and stay broke, or become uncomfortable as a relentless executor and build wealth. Student or practitioner, learner or earner, consumer or creator. You choose, but choose now. And choose execution, because more learning without execution is just procrastination with a library card. You've learned enough. You know enough. You're ready enough. You're ready enough. Now execute one thing. Today, tomorrow, this week. One offer, one outreach, one launch, one action, then another, then another, then another. Build momentum through execution, not education. That's your new operating system. Learn less, execute more, study occasionally, implement constantly, consume minimally, create maximally. 10% learning, 90% execution. That's the ratio. That's the rule. That's the key to everything. You're done being a professional student. You're now a professional executor. Someone who takes action, gets results, learns from them, and takes more action. That's who you are now. An executor, a doer, a builder, a launcher, someone who implements instead of just consumes. You stop studying success. You're executing it now. You're building it. You're creating it. One action at a time, one execution at a time, one result at a time. You've become an executor. You flipped the ratio. You're implementing relentlessly now. But there's one more thing you need to understand about how money actually works. Because money doesn't respond to what you think it responds to. Money is a mirror, and it's reflecting something you need to see. You say you're tired. Too tired to start the business. Too tired to make the offer. Too tired to take action. Too tired to build wealth. You're exhausted. Burned out. Depleted. You need rest. You need a break. You need more time to recharge before you can start. That's a lie. You're not tired. You're uninspired. And there's a massive difference. Let me prove it to you. You say you're exhausted, burned out, too tired to start. But you'll stay up late scrolling social media. You'll binge watch an entire season in one night. You'll spend hours doing things that drain you instead of build you. If you were really tired, you'd be asleep. But you're not. You're awake. You're active. You're engaged, just not with the things that would make you wealthy. That's the key. You're not tired. You're uninspired. You're living a life that doesn't excite you. You're spending your days doing things that don't matter to you. You're building someone else's dream instead of your own. And that drains you. Not physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. Emotionally, you have plenty of energy. You just don't have a compelling reason to use it for wealth building. You don't have a vision that pulls you. You don't have a purpose that drives you. You don't have a why that makes you willing to sacrifice comfort for growth. So you spend your energy on distractions, entertainment, things that feel good in the moment, but leave you empty, uninspired, and exactly where you were yesterday. That's not tiredness. That's lack of purpose. And lack of purpose feels like exhaustion, but it's not. It's spiritual depletion from living a life that doesn't align with who you're meant to be. You have a choice. Keep living uninspired and calling it tiredness, or find your purpose and watch energy you didn't know you had flood into your life. But you can't keep pretending you're too tired. You're not. You're too uninspired, and inspiration is something you create, not something you wait to feel. Now let's talk about the rich. The rich have energy, massive energy. They work long hours. They build multiple businesses. They create constantly. They execute relentlessly. And they're not tired, even when they work more hours than you, even when they face more pressure than you, even when they carry more responsibility than you. Why? Because they're building something that matters, creating something that excites them, moving toward a vision that pulls them out of bed. Purpose creates energy. Vision creates drive. Meaning creates momentum. That's the key. The rich aren't more physically capable than you. They're more inspired than you. They're building their own dreams, not someone else's. They're creating something meaningful, not just collecting a paycheck. A mad purpose gives them energy that tired people can't understand. Think about it. When you're excited about something, truly excited, you don't need to force yourself to work on it. You want to. You look forward to it. You think about it constantly. Time disappears when you're engaged with it. That's what the rich experience daily. They're not dragging themselves to work. They're pulled toward their vision. They're energized by their purpose. They're fueled by their why. You're exhausted because you're living someone else's dream, not your own. You're building someone else's wealth. You're spending your days doing work that doesn't matter to you. You're trading your life energy for a paycheck that disappears while your dreams stay deferred. That's exhausting. Not the work itself, but the meaninglessness of it, the purposelessness of it, the soul-crushing reality of spending your one life building someone else's empire. You need your own vision, your own purpose, your own why, something that's yours, something that excites you, something that makes you want to wake up and build, not someone else's goals, not someone else's timeline, not someone else's dream, yours. That's what creates energy. That's what eliminates exhaustion. That's what transforms you from tired to driven. You don't need more rest. You need more purpose. You don't need more sleep. You need more meaning. You don't need more breaks. You need more reasons to push through. And those reasons come from finding your why, your real why. Not the surface-level reasons, the deep, compelling, non-negotiable reasons that make wealth mandatory instead of optional. Here's what you need to do. Find your why tonight. Not someday. Tonight. Before you go to sleep. The reason you want wealth that makes you angry at your current situation. The reason that makes you unwilling to accept another year of mediocrity. The reason that makes you willing to sacrifice comfort, endure discomfort, and pay the price of growth. Your why is not to be comfortable. That's weak. That's not enough. That's the kind of why that lets you quit when things get hard. Your why is deeper, more personal, more painful, more compelling. Maybe it's your kids. You're building wealth so they never have to see you stressed about money. So they can have opportunities you didn't have. So they can see what's possible when someone refuses to settle. Maybe it's your parents. You're building wealth so you can take care of them. So they can retire with dignity. So you can repay them for everything they sacrificed for you. Maybe it's yourself. You're building wealth to prove you're capable. To prove you're not limited by your past. To prove you can create the life you've always wanted, instead of the life you've always accepted. Maybe it's freedom. You're building wealth so you never have to ask permission again. So you never have to tolerate a job you hate. So you can live on your terms instead of someone else's. Whatever it is, find it. Identify it. Feel it. Connect with it. Tonight. Because that why, that real, deep, compelling why will give you more energy than 10 hours of sleep ever could. That's the key. Purpose creates energy. Meaning creates momentum. A strong why makes you unstoppable. When you're connected to your why, you're not tired. You're driven. When you're building your dream, you're not exhausted. You're energized. When you're moving toward your vision, you don't need motivation. You have inspiration, and inspiration is infinitely more powerful than motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Inspiration sustains. Motivation fades when things get hard. Inspiration strengthens when challenges arise. You need inspiration. And inspiration comes from purpose, from meaning, from a why that's bigger than your comfort, stronger than your fear, and more important than your excuses. Find that why tonight. Write it down. Make it specific. Make it emotional. Make it real. Not "I want to be rich." That's vague. That's forgettable. But "I'm building wealth so my daughter never has to worry about paying for college like I did." That's specific. That's emotional. That's powerful. "I'm building wealth so I can retire my parents and give them the life they deserve after decades of sacrifice." That's compelling. "I'm building wealth so I never have to tolerate another toxic boss or soul-crushing job just to survive." That's motivating. "I'm building wealth to prove to myself that I'm capable of more than the life I've been settling for." That's transformative. Find your why, your real why, the one that makes you emotional, the one that makes you angry at where you are, the one that makes you unwilling to stay stuck for another day. And connect with that why every single day, morning and night, when you're tired, when you're discouraged, when you want to quit. Your why will remind you. Your why will push you. Your why will energize you when everything else tries to drain you. That's the key. It's not about willpower. It's about why power. It's not about forcing yourself. It's about connecting yourself to something bigger, more important, more compelling than your current comfort. You have a choice. Keep living without purpose and stay exhausted. Or find your why and access energy you didn't know existed. The rich found their why years ago. That's why they have energy while you're tired. That's why they're building while you're resting. That's why they're wealthy while you're broke. Not because they're superhuman, but because they're connected to something meaningful, something purposeful, something worth building for. You're finding your why tonight. You're writing it down. You're connecting with it emotionally. You're making it real. And tomorrow morning, you're waking up different, not tired, inspired, not exhausted, energized, not drained, driven, because you have a reason now, a purpose, a why that's bigger than your comfort and stronger than your fear. You don't need permission to have purpose. You don't need perfect circumstances to find meaning. You don't need anyone's approval to connect with your why. You just decide, tonight, what matters to you. Why wealth is mandatory, not optional. Why you're done accepting mediocrity. And that decision changes everything. Your energy returns. Your drive intensifies. Your focus sharpens. Your actions accelerate. Because you're not tired. You never were. You were just uninspired. Living a life that didn't excite you. Building dreams that weren't yours. Spending energy on things that didn't matter. But that ends tonight. You've found your why. You've connected with your purpose. You've discovered your reason for building wealth. And that reason gives you all the energy you need to win. You're not tired anymore. You're inspired. You're not exhausted anymore. You're energized. You're not drained anymore. You're driven. Because you have purpose now. And purpose changes everything. You found your why. You're energized now. You're driven. But there's one final strategic shift you need to understand. The shift that separates those who stay in the struggle from those who break through to abundance. It's about how you approach money itself. Everything you've learned, everything you've committed to, everything you've decided, it all comes together tonight. Tonight, you reprogram. Tonight, you transform. Tonight, you become the wealthy version of yourself at the deepest level. And tomorrow, you wake up different. Not hoping to be different. Not trying to be different. Actually different. Changed. Changed. Transformed. Reprogrammed. Because tonight, before you sleep, you're going to do something most people never do. You're going to deliberately reprogram your subconscious mind for wealth. Let me be clear. Tonight, before you sleep, you will speak your new money affirmations aloud, visualize your wealthy self in vivid detail, and feel the emotions of already having the wealth you want. This is not optional. This is not a suggestion. This is the protocol, the process. The transformation ritual that changes everything, because your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. It can't tell if you're actually wealthy or vividly imagining wealth. It just processes the information you feed it and adjusts your beliefs, behaviors, and actions accordingly. That's the key. Your subconscious controls 95% of your decisions, your habits, your reactions, your beliefs, your financial behaviors, and right now it's programmed for poverty. But tonight you reprogram it for wealth. Here's exactly what you do. Tonight, before you go to sleep, you sit up. You speak aloud, not in your head, out loud, with your voice, with conviction. You say, I am wealthy. I am abundant. Money flows to me easily and consistently. I create massive value and I'm compensated accordingly. I deserve financial freedom. I claim it now. I am rich. Say it multiple times, with emotion, with belief. Even if you don't fully believe it yet, say it anyway. Because repetition creates belief. Sound creates neural pathways. Speaking aloud programs your subconscious. Then you visualize. Close your eyes. See yourself as wealthy. Not vaguely, specifically, vividly, in detail. See yourself checking your bank account and seeing the balance you want. Feel the emotion of seeing those numbers. Feel the relief, the pride, the freedom, the power. See yourself in your ideal environment. Your home, your office, your life. See the details. The furniture, the space, the freedom. Feel what it feels like to live there. See yourself making decisions as a wealthy person, choosing how to spend your time, investing without fear, helping others, living on your terms. Feel the confidence, the certainty, the abundance. That's the key. Don't just see it, feel it. Because emotion locks in the programming. Emotion tells your subconscious this is important, this is real, this matters. Visualize for at least 5 minutes. Longer if you can. The more vivid, the more detailed, the more emotional, the more powerful the programming. You're not daydreaming. You're reprogramming. You're installing new software. You're overwriting poverty programming with wealth programming. And your subconscious is listening, absorbing, accepting, changing. Do this tonight. Before you sleep. Non-negotiable. This is the protocol. This is how transformation happens. This is how you wake up. Different. Now here's what happens while you sleep. While you sleep, your subconscious will process these new beliefs, discard old poverty programming, and begin searching for opportunities, ideas, and actions that align with your new wealthy identity. Sleep is when transformation happens, not during the day, during sleep. When your conscious mind is offline and your subconscious can reorganize, restructure, and reprogram without interference. Tonight, while you sleep, your subconscious will work. It will process everything you've learned in this audiobook. It will integrate your new beliefs. It will align with your new identity. It will discard the old programming that kept you broke. And it will start searching for opportunities you've been missing, ideas you've been ignoring, actions you need to take, people you need to meet, strategies you need to implement. That's the key. Your subconscious is a search engine. It finds what you tell it to find. Right now, it's finding reasons to stay broke, evidence that wealth is hard, proof that you're not capable. But after tonight's reprogramming, it will search for the opposite. It will find opportunities to create wealth, evidence that wealth is possible, proof that you're capable. And tomorrow morning, you'll wake up different, not because of magic, because of programming, because you deliberately installed new beliefs, new identity, new expectations into your subconscious mind. You'll wake up with ideas you didn't have before, clarity you didn't have before, confidence you didn't have before. energy you didn't have before. Because you're different now, reprogrammed, transformed, aligned with wealth instead of poverty. Sleep is when transformation happens, and you'll wake up different. That's not hope. That's how the mind works. That's the science of change. That's the protocol of transformation. Trust the process. Do the protocol. Reprogram tonight. Wake up. Transform tomorrow. Now, here's what you do tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, you will not check your phone first. This is critical. The first thing you do when you wake up sets the tone for your entire day. And if you check your phone first, you're immediately reactive. You're responding to other people's agendas. You're consuming instead of creating. You're letting the world program you instead of programming yourself. The rich don't check their phones first. They program themselves first. They declare their identity first. They take action first. You're doing the same. Starting tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, when you wake up, the first thing you do before checking your phone, before checking email, before doing anything else, is declare your wealth aloud. Stand up. Speak with power. Say, I am wealthy. Today I build wealth. Today I create value. Today I take action toward financial freedom. I am rich. I act like it. Today is day one of my new life. Say it out loud, with conviction, with certainty. You're not asking. You're declaring. You're claiming. You're programming yourself before the world can program you. That's the key. You set the tone. You declare the identity. You claim the reality before anything else. Then you take one immediate action toward your financial goal. Not later. Not after you feel ready. Immediately. One call, one email, one message, one post, one action that moves you toward wealth. Before breakfast, before work, before anything else, you execute. Because action reinforces identity. When you declare you're wealthy and then immediately take wealthy action, your brain believes you. Your subconscious accepts it. Your identity solidifies. But if you declare you're wealthy and then scroll social media for an hour, your brain rejects it. Your actions contradict your words. Your identity stays broke. That's the key. Declaration plus immediate action equals identity shift. Declaration without action equals nothing. Tomorrow morning, wake up. Don't check your phone. Declare your wealth. Take immediate action. Then move through your day as the rich version of yourself. Because identity shift creates reality shift. And today is day one of your new life. Here's what moving through your day as the rich version of yourself looks like. You make decisions differently. You carry yourself differently. You speak differently. You act differently. When someone asks your price, you don't discount. You hold your value because that's what wealthy people do. When you have an opportunity to invest in yourself, you take it because wealthy people invest in growth. When you face a decision between comfort and growth, you choose growth because wealthy people prioritize expansion over ease. When someone tries to drain your energy, you protect your boundaries because wealthy people guard their energy like currency. All day, every decision, every interaction, every choice, you ask, what would the wealthy version of me do? And you do that. That's identity shift. And identity shift creates reality shift. Your actions change. Your results change. Your life changes. Starting tomorrow, day one. The first day of your new wealthy life. You don't need permission to become this person. You don't need proof to act like this person. You don't need anyone's approval to claim this identity. You just decide. Tonight, you reprogram. Tomorrow, you declare and execute, and then you live it. Every day, until the wealthy identity becomes your default, and the broke identity becomes impossible. That's the protocol. That's the process. That's the transformation. Tonight, reprogram. Speak your affirmations. Visualize your wealth. Feel your abundance. Before sleep. While you sleep, your subconscious processes, reorganizes, and transforms. You wake up different. Tomorrow morning, don't check your phone. Declare your wealth. Take immediate action. Live as your wealthy self. All day. Every day. This is not theory. This is the protocol. The wealthy do this. The successful do this. The transformed do this. And now you're doing it. Starting tonight, continuing tomorrow, sustaining forever. You have everything you need, every lesson, every strategy, every mindset shift, every action step, everything. The only question is, will you do it? Will you reprogram tonight? Will you declare tomorrow? Will you execute immediately? Will you live as your wealthy self starting day one? That's your choice. That's your power. That's your responsibility. The information is yours. The protocol is yours. The transformation is yours. If you execute it, not someday, tonight, tomorrow, now, this is your moment, your transformation, your new life. It starts the second you finish this audiobook and execute the protocol. Reprogram tonight. Wake up rich tomorrow. Not in your bank account yet, in your identity, in your beliefs, in your actions, in your certainty. And your bank account will follow. It always does. Identity precedes reality. Belief precedes bank balance. Who you become determines what you achieve. You're becoming wealthy tonight. You're waking up rich tomorrow. Not hoping, not trying, actually becoming. Actually waking up different. Because you've done the work. You've learned the lessons. You've made the commitments. And now you're executing the protocol. Tonight, before sleep, reprogram tomorrow. First thing, declare and execute. Every day after, live as your wealthy self. That's the protocol. That's your transformation. That's your new life. Welcome to wealth. Welcome to freedom. Welcome to the life you've always deserved but never claimed. Until now, now go. Reprogram. Transform, execute, and wake up rich tomorrow. This is your new beginning. Day one starts now. You've heard the truth. You've been given the blueprint. You now know that poverty is a choice, comfort is a trap, and your identity creates your income. You know the rich don't wait. They don't plan forever. They don't stay comfortable. And they don't surround themselves with people who accept mediocrity. You know money is a mirror. Speed beats planning. Execution beats information. And the only time to start is right now. So here's your challenge. Before you go to sleep tonight, choose one action. One uncomfortable, wealth-building action. And commit to doing it tomorrow. One outreach. One offer. One product. One investment. One conversation. One bold move. Then do it again the next day, and the next, because this audiobook means nothing if you don't move. The rich are building while you're deciding. The wealthy are executing while you're hesitating, and the broke are making excuses while you still have a choice. Choose wealth, choose discomfort, choose speed. Wake up tomorrow and act like the rich person you're becoming. Your new life starts the moment you decide it does. Now, decide.